Right, ready for another deep dive? Today we're taking you inside the Tucson Girls Chorus.
And I have to say, this one is really interesting.
I know, right? It's not every day we get this kind of look behind the curtain at an organization like this.
Exactly. We have emails, we have internal documents, fundraising appeals, program notes.
Yeah, it's like a treasure trove of information.
Yeah.
And it all adds up to give us this really unique perspective on the Tucson Girls Chorus, but through the experience of one singer in particular, Eliana Frost.
Who, as you know, is a new member of their top choir, the advanced choir.
Right, so we're not just talking about like the general experience of being in a youth choir. This is the real deal, high stakes performing and all that comes with it.
And speaking of high stakes, one thing that immediately jumps out from these materials is the cost.
Oh yeah, I was blown away by that. Like the trip to Carnegie Hall.
Huge. And we can actually see from the budget documents, that alone is a $3,550 per singer expense.
Wow, so that's not insignificant.
Not at all. But what's interesting is how the organization deals with that. Because on the one hand, you have this very real financial commitment, but then you also see their commitment to making the experience accessible. Payment plans, scholarships. They even have this whole thing with a holiday greenery sale.
Which is kind of adorable, honestly.
It is, and it really emphasizes that this is about community.
Right, it's not just about who can afford the big fees, it's about finding a way to make it work together.
And that sense of community really shines through in a lot of little details we see.
Like what?
Well, for example, remember those Love Notes families can put in the concert programs?
Oh yeah, how sweet is that?
So thoughtful. Imagine being a young performer, all nervous backstage, and then you open the program and boom, there's a message from your grandma or your aunt cheering you on.
Speaking of grandmas, did you see that Eliana's grandmother actually contributed to her tour fund?
I did. And for me, that speaks to the larger role that families play in this whole ecosystem.
Totally, it takes a village, right?
It really does.
Yeah.
You've got the passion of the singers themselves, like Eliana, but then you've got the support system, the family, the community, and of course the dedicated staff at TGC who are guiding everything.
And speaking of the staff, I think it's worth diving into those emails from Dr. Molina, the choir director, a little bit more because her leadership style really comes through in these.
Absolutely. I mean, she sets a high bar, that's for sure, but she also creates this incredibly supportive environment.
Yeah, and you can tell she's really invested in the girls' growth, not just as singers, but like as people too.
Totally. Like, remember that email about the advanced choir retreat? They're doing some serious music theory deep dives, analyzing challenging repertoire. It's next level stuff.
Right. It's not just like kumbaya by the campfire. This is like a mini conservatory experience.
Exactly. And it all points to this idea that to reach this level of musicianship, it takes more than just showing up for rehearsals.
It's a commitment for sure. And that makes me think about Eliana specifically because we see in one of her emails to her family that she's also working with a private opera coach. So this is clearly not just a casual after-school hobby for her.
She's driven. And I think that's a really important point to highlight because sometimes when we talk about these amazing youth ensembles, we focus on the group achievement, but we forget that each individual singer is on their own journey.
Absolutely. And Eliana's journey seems to be particularly interesting, especially when you consider the piece she's chosen to perform for the winter concert, Yo Soy Luz.
Which is such a powerful piece. The harmonies are insane. And the message of self-discovery, I mean, you can see why that would resonate with a young woman like Eliana, who's clearly on her own path of self-discovery.
It's like that piece becomes this really beautiful metaphor for the whole TGC experience.
Right. It's about finding your voice, both literally and figuratively.
Mm-hmm.
And that idea of finding your voice extends beyond just the singers themselves. Because one thing that really struck me about TGC is their commitment to community engagement.
Yeah, they're not just tucked away in some concert hall. They're out there performing at schools, participating in community events. It's really impressive.
And it speaks to their mission of making music accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
Not just those who can afford expensive tickets.
It's true. You know, it's funny because with some of these deep dives we do, I walk away thinking, wow, that's a well-run organization. But with TGC, it's more than that. It's like they're shaping these young women into well-rounded humans.
Absolutely. And part of that shaping comes from the leadership training they incorporate, which we haven't even gotten to yet. Remember those program notes that mention that?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. It's like they're taking all the best parts of being in a chorus, the teamwork, the discipline, the need for clear communication. And they're saying, okay, how can we use these skills to empower these young women to become leaders in all aspects of their lives? And it's not just leadership in the traditional sense, right? Like, it's not just about being the CEO or whatever. It's about having the confidence to use your voice to advocate for yourself and for others.
Exactly. And that kind of confidence is something that will serve these young women well, no matter what path they choose in life.
Absolutely. And speaking of paths, let's circle back to Eliana and that upcoming Carnegie Hall performance, because that's a pretty big deal, right? To have this opportunity to perform on such a prestigious stage with all that history.
It's incredible. And it really speaks to the level of musicianship we're talking about here. The advanced choir doesn't shy away from challenging repertoire, and they're often working with professional musicians to really hone their craft.
We talked about the financial commitment earlier, but I imagine for Eliana, this performance represents something even bigger. It's the culmination of years of hard work, both within TGC and with her private opera coach.
It's a testament to what's possible when talent meets opportunity and unwavering dedication. And it makes you think, right, what are we doing as a community to ensure that more young people have access to this kind of transformative experience?
That's the question, isn't it? Because it takes more than just good intentions. It takes resources, it takes commitment, and it takes a shared belief in the power of the arts to change lives.
And speaking of resources, I was really struck by the transparency of TGC's financial model. They lay it all out there, the cost of music directors' salaries, the scholarship funds they provide, everything.
You're right. They're not hiding anything, which I think really builds trust with donors and supporters.
Absolutely. It shows that they take their responsibilities seriously, both to the young singers and to the community that supports them.
Well, I have to say, this deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening. I always knew the Tucson Girls Chorus was special, but seeing the inner workings, understanding the level of dedication from everyone involved, it's truly inspiring.
It is. And it reminds us that music is more than just entertainment. It's a powerful tool for personal growth, for building community, and for shaping the next generation of leaders.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of the Tucson Girls Chorus. We've explored their commitment to musical excellence, their dedication to inclusivity, and the profound impact they have on the lives of their singers.
If you'd like to learn more about the Tucson Girls Chorus, including their upcoming concert schedule and ways to support their mission, be sure to visit their website. It's an organization that deserves our attention and support.